Hello and welcome to BVTV. We are back, we are live, we are the Bowls Show. I am Jimmy Whitehead, Events and Competitions Manager at Bowls Victoria, and alongside me is a good friend of mine, man with many titles, Josh Thornton, who is the newly appointed BV Northwest Country Manager. Josh, how you going, mate?
Great, Jimmy, and I'm really looking forward to BVTV and this Bowls Show that we're doing. It's probably been a long time coming for Bowls Vic to have something like this get off the ground, and yeah, it's going to be really exciting in terms of what we're going to do with the Bowls Show this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had some announcements come out late last week, mate, mainly about this show being up and launched. This is obviously our first inaugural episode, and also the streaming of the Premier League games we're going to do this year, which is exciting for the sport. It's going to put some good promotion for us out there. So looking forward to being a part of that.
Yeah, look, it's a great innovation for Bowls Vic to start streaming a weekly game of our Premier Division. The Metropolitan Premier Division is the showcase Pennant comp in the state. And, to show one game a week is really professionalising and putting our sport out there, so it's great by Bowls of Victoria to do this.
Yeah, agreed, mate. So part of what the Bowl Show is going to be is a bit of a preview each week on the game of the round coming up for Premier League that we'll be streaming. We'll also have a segment focused on regional pennant. So we're going to rotate through some guests from different regional pennants across the state of Victoria. And then we'll have a sort of a floating third segment where we'll look at a club of the week. We'll look at some initiatives that clubs are doing, things that your clubs can get involved in, and promote. We're focusing on Club Sunbury today. They're our club of the week. Amazing junior programs down there. We've got Lloyd, the bowls coordinator, joining us, Josh. So that'll be good later on in the show.
Yeah, really looking forward to having a chat to Lloyd. Obviously, the club's been affected by COVID for the last 6 months, and so seeing Lloyd back at the club, doing all the work he can do, and obviously linking in with Bowls Victoria's junior high performance program will be really good to chat about.
Awesome, looking forward to it. Well, let's get into it, mate. We're going to go through the Premier League sides to start with. There's been a lot of changes this year across the 10 clubs. We're going to break them down one by one. We might even throw some cheeky predictions in there to see how we fare at the end of the season. We'll get this one saved and see how far you missed by, Josh, and how many I got right. Where do you want to start? Should we start off with the boys from Altona, defeated grand finalists last year?
Yeah, look, Altona have been probably the Premier club in Metropolitan Pennant for as long as I've been playing bowls. They've always figured in finals along with Melbourne. And look, obviously they're going through a bit of change. Speaking of Dane McKinnon, one of their senior players, they know they're going through a bit of change, but they've still got a lot of positivity around how they think they're going to fare this year. They've lost some really established players in Brett Foley, Brad Peck, and Liam Garlick-Adams. But if the new players coming in can gel early with the established players, who knows? They might hang around and play in the finals, Jimmy.
Yeah, agreed. They've got a couple of big name marquee players coming in, Josh, if you want to give the announcement on them too.
Yeah, so their marquee players this year are two Queensland players, but one really is a Victorian at heart, and it's Barry Lester, who has played many a game for Victoria. So Snelly's coming down to play for Altona, along with an up-and-coming star in Nick Cahill, who plays out of the Tweedheads Bowls Club. Recently won a state title up with Barry in Queensland. And so when they've got those two coming down and playing for them, they're going to be really hard to beat. There's no doubt about that. And obviously, Barry being a bit of a slow green expert, he's looking to come down and get that exposure prior to the Common Games next year. I think it's going to really bode well for them when they've got him playing for them.
Yeah, great. So they've got a superstar sort of skip lineup with Dane McKinnon, Nathan Wilson, Barry, and I'm presuming Nick's going to skip there. I might be wrong on that. They do have a few outs. You mentioned Brett Foley, Brad Peck, Liam Garlick-Adams. They're missing a couple of other back-end players this season. People like Rick Orchard, Jason Sutcliffe, who played in the front end actually for them last season. So they're probably lacking a bit of depth, but they have brought some players in from sort of local clubs. Glenn Maxwell, Hugh O'Reilly, Carl Millen coming in as well. Jaden Womble is another one. So look, I guess my prediction for Altona this year will be they'll be in amongst the pack. A lot will depend on what they do early in the season when they've got the guys down from Queensland, how many wins they can get on the board from there. That might give them a tilt, a run to the fore, but I think they're going to be sort of stuck in that middle of the pack with a couple of other clubs.
Yeah, I see them the same, Jimmy. I think they're going to be borderline making the finals. Things are going to have to go well for them to play finals because there's a lot of strong clubs out there this year, but if they get their things right, they could definitely play finals.
Yeah, there you go. We'll move on to Bundoora RSL. So a couple of big ins for Bundoora, a couple of big outs as well. Do you want to talk about the ins first, mate? Because they are some superstar power.
Yeah, so the marquee players, which we were only made aware of in the last 24 hours, will be Irish international Gary Kelly and Australian international Corey Wedlock, both out of the Warilla Bowls Club in New South Wales. Again, we don't know how often they're going to play for the club. I assume they'll probably play enough to get qualified. And so that's a great injection. I know Gary did play for him a couple of years ago, back before COVID. So he's coming back to play for him. Look, they have lost Adam Galloway, Ryan Digby, Nathan Murray, all good players. Obviously, Nathan joining another club. But I see them as playing finals with everyone being available. And the other one, which I know full aware of how good he is, and he's a young fella who's just joined Bundoora, is Brody Harker. He's from up this way in the Mallee, and he's got all the potential and ability in the world. And I see him coming down to Melbourne playing Premier Division is going to be great for him in terms of his own bowls. And he's going to be an asset to Bundoora RSL.
I think he fits in with their culture there. They've got a very good culture at Bundoora. I know Brody via you and via a few state events. He's a very switched on kid, very nice kid to speak to. So I think he fits in quite well there. Look, they've still got some superstar power there. Dean O'Neill, who's been on fire the last couple of years across Melbourne. 𝗬𝗪𝗧𝗪, he's as good as it gets as well. I think for me, Bundoora, I'm going to tip him to just get into the four. I know they'll be disappointed with their results in the finals last year when they made the four, and I think they'll want to improve on that and go further. So I'm going to tip them to make the four. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm the same. I haven't finished in fourth this year, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, cool. Right, onto Clayton. So I know you've done had a bit of a chat with 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪. Tell us about how things are going down there this year.
Yeah, look, they're quite excited about the season. I know Ali was disappointed about the way they finished last year, going out in the prelim, but they're very positive about what's going to happen. They've got Elliot Rabinov back, 𝗰𝗵𝗶𝘰's joined the club, Callum Bellington. Their marquee player this year is one of the best female bowlers in the country, in 𝗃𝗃𝗧 𝗵𝗪𝗪. So they can't go wrong with having her joining the club. Look, with only a couple of blokes missing, and they're going to miss a Ben Thomason and a Rod Peterson. You don't ever want to lose any player. But I see them figuring quite well, and I've got them figuring in the finals as well.
Yeah, I guess any club that boasts skippers like 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪, Dylan Fisher, Dylan Benwell, they're going to go hard. I know a player I was very impressed with myself last year was Alan Veach. He was superb. He skipped some games, played third in a few. He was superb when I came across him when we played against Clayton. So they're another one I think are going to push the four. I think they might be the one to drop out of the five I have in mind that can push for the four. But I hope that puts a bit of a rocket in them and they push on because they are capable. They're a very good side. They've got some really good depth, and it'd be interesting to see where they sort of finish.
Yeah, with them not losing a lot of their most established players, I definitely have them playing finals. And I've got them picked to come third. Let's see how my projection's going, but I do think they'll definitely play finals.
Yeah, awesome. On to the new boys, well, the new boys and girls, Croydon. You've been talking to Troy Stafford over there, mate.
Yeah, no, obviously they're excited about having a crack up in Premier Division. They haven't lost a lot of players from their Division 1 promotion from last year. It's their first year up there, so there's not a lot of expectation. Obviously, no club wants to go up and go back down. They'll be trying to avoid that scenario. But obviously, Troy's coming in as coach. You got Mark Lloyd, Jeff Kirk, Jared Pepper. One of the names I seen on their ins that I thought, well, that's exciting. And he's been out of the bowl scene for a while. Is Les Such, and I've known Les for a long time. He's won a state fours many years ago. He's played in country as well. He's had a bit of time out of the sport, but when he's up and about, Such is quite loud, extroverted. He'll definitely support Croydon and their venture up in Premier Division this year.
They've got a lot of players who played in the Eastern Ranges region side that won the most recent region sides in May. So they're capable. I think they'll give anyone a game on the day. I think they're probably coming up in a year where this competition is going to be one of the strongest years it has been in a while. How much of an effect that has on them, we'll see. They're going to need to win their home games. They're going to need to perform really well at home and try and sneak a couple of away games that they'll be wanting to go good against their local rivals in Lilydale. I think that there'll be someone they'll be competing with in the division this year. So, look, I think that they're capable of staying in the division. They're going to have to perform hard. They're going to have to win the home games. But, look, we know they're going to give it a red-hot crack. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they take off. It's going to be an adjustment the first few games. So, let's see how they go there.
Yeah, I was going to say, for any club that may not have the talent on paper, or say some of the other clubs might have, they've got to gel early, and they've got to really gel early to get some of those results on the board. That's going to be very pivotal to their season. I do too see them could potentially stay up, but they're going to have to play really well to do so.
Mm. On to the next club, who we probably need a complete segment of their own for their players in this season, is Deer Park. A good mate of mine and yours, Mark Casey's taken over the helm there, mate. Try and talk us through the ins and a couple of outs they've had there.
Yeah, so obviously former Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and he's never not a gold medalist, obviously, but obviously former Australian international Mark Casey's joining the club as bowls director is a huge inclusion. Throw in the fact that they've got probably one of the best Australian players getting around at the moment, Aaron T's joining them before Christmas, giving them a start, and then you throw in the 𝗊𝗄𝗎 family, Tyson and 𝗊𝗵𝗀𝗀, along with their old man. He's great joining back the club. Ryan Tainton, former skipper of the year in Premier Division. Larry Donoghue, who is a very good bowler from Queenscliff, has joined the club. Rhys Jeffs, champion winner from 2 years ago. David Holt, former English international. Ben Thomason, who we touched on, who's left Clayton. Chris Ball joined them. Matthew Wilson, and their last probably big inclusion, which was only announced recently, current Victorian state skipper, Nathan Bush, who is a great inclusion for that side, So they have lost some players. They've lost 4 or 5 players there. But I do see them as the big risers in the competition. They finished 7th last year. I definitely have them playing finals, and I'm going to go out on a limb and make my early pre-season prediction that they're going to win the grand final this year.
Big call. I think there's a lot of ins there. There's obviously a few outs as well. I can't pick that team. I think I can find 10 to 12 back end players that I would have in any Premier League side. So I dread being probably Bushy and Case there trying to pick that side, because you could pick it 20 different ways. When there's that much change, it's going to take time to bed. They've obviously just had the recent bad news with the roof, which is going to force them to play outside on the grass. Good news is that the grass greens are going good. Spoke to Mark a couple of times this week. He's optimistic that them greens will be performing well for the season. So they'll definitely make the 4. I'm not going to back against my own boys, Melbourne, but they'll definitely make the 4, and they'll be there or thereabouts. So yeah, it'll be fun watching them this season. Very fun.
Yeah, no, as I said, they're my prediction. As I said, there's a lot of season to come ahead, but I do think they're going to figure prominently at the end of it. So I think key to them, before going on to the next side, is finding that balance and making sure the egos can get checked as they come through the door. If they can check those egos, I think they're going to do very well.
Yep. And on to Lilydale, Josh. One of my favourite teams in terms of the recruitment that they've done this year. I think they've made some solid recruitment. Talk us through the ins and outs there.
Yeah, look, they've picked up Daniel Ridrow, a former Premier Division player, who's going along as co-coach of Joshy Sanders. They've got CJ Snary coming in, Luke Ingham, Chris Woodrow, Jeff Peterson, and Luke Lamont. So there's got some really good ins there. We're offsetting Troy Stafford leaving, as we said, going to Croydon, Jay Norris going to MCC, and Tony West. So, newly promoted from coming up from Division 1. They're very optimistic about where they're going to finish. They're very positive about the year. I think it's important for them to try and win as many home games as possible to build that home fortress for themselves, and then limiting the away game losses as much as they can. To me, they could finish anywhere from just, maybe potentially making the finals. I'll probably predict them finishing just out and finishing in that pack area. So they will more than capable of staying up this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think there's a determination from the guys at Lilydale. We saw it last year in their bounce back from being relegated the year before from Premier into Division 1. I think that's a hard task for anyone to bounce straight back into Premier League. So hats off to them there. They've got some solid experienced players. Josh Sanders, you mentioned. Jess Wallace, one of the leading lights in the female game in our state. So they've got the players. I think that they'll go well this year. And I agree. Yeah, I think they'll be in that pack. Bit of good luck, they'll push to 4. Bit of bad luck, that they're going to be struggling. So things need to go their way. They need to play hard. So it'd be interesting to see how they go. MCC, another club that have recruited heavily this year. Talk us through who's in and out for them, mate.
Yeah, look, the key ones for me, looking at their side, Jay Norris, current state player, on the verge of potentially being included in the Jackaroo squad. He's currently an emerging squad player. Scotty Mortimer's going there in a leadership role to support the club. I see Max Goldsmith as one of those up-and-coming players who got oodles of potential and ability. He's going to help them. And there's a few others coming in there as well, So, and from my knowledge, I haven't lost many people, if at all, Jimmy, So they finished 5th last year. With all those ins, they've got to be knocking the door down to make the finals, you know. And if they can get their balance right, and I stress they've got to get that balance right, they could definitely figure in the finals. That's for sure.
I'm pretty sure they're coming off the back of winning 7 or 8 straight, maybe 6 or 7 straight at the end of last season as well. They picked up some players halfway through last season. Brad Marron came down from Bendigo. They've obviously strengthened even more so in that back end with J-By Norris and Scotty Mortimer. They'll go real well this year. They're a tip for the 4 for me. They've got some hidden gems in there as well. I remember when I played against them at MCC last year, their front end bowled the house down. People like Scotty Majan, Brendan Gallagher, who's one of the up and coming players in our game as skip. He had a great season as well. I think his whole rink won a high percentage of their games last season. So I think they're going to be very strong. The only slight query I have with them, and it's the same I have with Deer Park, it's a fair amount of change. It's come quite quickly. How does that gel? How does that work throughout the season? Look, if they play to their potential, they'll be in the top 2, top 3. So, yeah, we'll see how MCC go.
As I said, their limit is definitely finals. I've got them just missing. They're probably going to want to prove me wrong and make a liar out of me. But as I said, they got to. If they get everything right, there's no doubt they can definitely figure in the finals.
I try not to be too biased on the next team, mate. Melbourne, defending champions, defending state Pennant champions as well. Yep. We've had some great recruitment at Melbourne this year. We've picked up 3 exceptional back end players in Robert Doody, Alex Skilton, and Nathan Murray. So oodles of back end Prem experience there, which complements a very strong team anyway. We've sort of only lost a couple of the front end, Tommy Lester, T-Bone going back to Bendigo, and Matty Young having a season off. So we're stronger than last year. We obviously finished top of the pack last year and got the grand final done as well. So look, I see no reason that doesn't happen again for Melbourne.
You're letting your bias get in there, Jimmy, but that's all right. You're allowed to do that, you know. So look, there's no doubt they're gonna play finals. They've only got stronger, and you know, I see the additions of Robert Doody, Alex Skilton, Nathan Murray as only positive and pluses for the club. You know, you got people like Bryce Young and Brett Spur and Curtis Hanley, and you know, there's some just really good bowlers there at the club. So I think the big question is, Jimmy, are you going to make an impact for this side at any stage during the season?
I'll be making an impact on the commentary table this season, mate. I'm hanging up the bowls for you. Unless there's any offers out there, you know. I'm joking now. Melbourne through and through. I am. So you're off for me, but I'll be there supporting when I can. I think I played in a practice game last week. I'll be down there Thursdays training, helping the boys train and stuff. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the crew can do this year. I think we can go back to back, which would be amazing.
Cool.
On to Mentone. So a couple of outs for Mentone. Scotty Mortimer and Alex Skilton, we spoke about going to MCC in Melbourne. They picked up they have some great marquee players. JT, talk us through them.
Yeah, so they've picked up Tony Wood, former Victorian bowler, who is now based up in Sydney. He's coming down to be one of their marquee players. Ash Close, who's a former marquee player for them. South Australian skipper. Won the Queensland Open many years ago when the Grand Prix circuit was getting around, and he's always fitted in well with the Mentone guys. And probably in my mind, their best marquee pickup, Michael Wilkes, again a legend of probably Victorian bowls, played for Australia, over in 𝗵𝗵𝗪 now as the bowls coordinator. He's been very tight with the guys from Mentone for a long time, and when he's coming in and playing for them, I see a lot of positives for the club. Look. Again, they're going to be one of those clubs that are going to figure out potentially finals. They got to get things right, get everyone playing. Ash Rowan is very excited for the season. I know that talking to him, and he thinks they can do really well. But again, they've got to get things right. And as I said, the depth of this competition means there's going to be clubs that we can't predict to make finals because there's only 4 that can make finals. I've got them just figuring out of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made the finals.
Yeah. Again, I think they're another club that'll be in that pack, and on their day they can beat anyone. Again, big homegrown advantage for the guys at Mentone, which they use particularly well. So yeah, if things go right, you can see them high up the ladder. If things go wrong and they have a bad run, it can be difficult for them. So yeah, it's Mentone. And then last but not least, 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙
a couple of the Deer Park players who've left the club. You know, they've got Brett Mahoney, Nino Vlahovic, Andrea 𝗕𝗪𝗧𝗪. I think I pronounced that right, but if I haven't,
Yeah.
I do apologise, So, and there's a couple others joining the club as well. Even BV board member Gus 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪 is joining the club this year, giving a crack at Premier Division, So they haven't got any real outs. Looking to do some feedback with them guys. And look, they finished 8th last year, but there's no doubt with who they've picked up, they can improve. Again, hard knowing what every other club's doing so far. How much they improve is depending on how well they gel and how they fit into their club. But they definitely could be someone who really pushes to potentially make finals.
So they've got some stalwarts of the Premier League competition in their side in Gary and Nelson Ball. I think they've got the experience. Again, without calling a top 4 and then the rest are in a pack, I think they are in that pack. We saw last year that they were a bit fragile at times, that they lost some games by fairly big margins. I think bringing in people like Brett Mahoney, Pidge, is good for them. I think that enables them to have him skipping and probably push someone down into 3rd that was skipping last year. They got people like Oscar Jones, who's only getting better, the young lad from Ballarat. He'll be great to watch. I had a great game with him last year. Very enjoyable person to play against. So, look, I think they will be in that pack. And again, good days, bad days, we'll sort of see how things go from there. So, that's sort of the rundown on the Premier League for next season and our predictions. We'll run this show back at the end and we'll see who was right, who was wrong. I'm sure we'll get many phone calls along the way. Josh, have you said we were here and we finished here? So that'd be good to see.
Look, it's part of the game when you go out and make a limb and make a prediction. As I said, we don't mean any offence by anything we're doing, but look, at the end of the day, we've got to have a crack, and we're going to have a tipping comp this year, Jimmy, and may the better man win in terms of who picks the most winners this year.
Yeah, we've already decided on the prize you're going to buy me at the end of that, so looking forward to that. And Josh, we announced last week the streaming games for Premier League this year. It's an initiative we've been keen to do. So for those that didn't see the Facebook post, we will be streaming one game every round from Premier League this season. They'll be streamed on a mix of times: Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sundays, pretty much at any time that Pennant's not on. Just want to say a big thank you to the Premier League clubs that have worked hard to enable us to do this. They've worked between themselves to find times and different days that suit for the game, so we're able to stream them. First cab off the rank, it's a pretty good game. Altona, MCC, 4 p.m, 13th of November. Should be a cracker, Josh.
Yeah, no, as I said, great initiative by Bowls Victoria to start streaming a Premier Division game every week. Looking forward to making those predictions against you, Jimmy, and previewing each game each week. So as I said, it's a great initiative by Bowls Victoria.
Awesome. So that'll wrap up our Metro Pennant segment of this first show. Just a quick shout out to BCIB, who are our Metro Pennant partner for the coming season, 21-22. So thanks to the guys at BCIB. Get in touch with them for all your insurance needs. Next up, mate, we've got Lloyd coming in from Club Sunbury, and we're going to preview the Mallee Pennant season.
Looking forward to it.
And that green is just up the road.
And welcome back. We're into the second part of the show where we discuss regional pennant. This time we're going to your neck of the woods, Josh, up the Murray-Mallee region. But before we get into that, there's a couple of bits of good news that have come your way in the last few weeks. First up, you're the newly appointed country manager for Northwest Victoria. Give us a quick intro on what that role's about.
Look, it's a brand new role by Bowls Victoria. It's a pilot role. We've got 2 years to try and get this off the ground. And the idea is that in my role, I'm going to support both the Murray-Mallee region and the Wimmera regions, which are sort of, beside each other in terms of running the sport and making it run better, So looking after the regions, looking after the competitions, assisting them all to make sure they've got BowlsLink up and running, get their websites up and running, helping them with their governance, so making sure the constitutions, regulations, everything's in place. And then even starting to look at the commercial opportunities that the area has, because there's not a lot of regions that do well in the commercial space, So we're looking to bring in some sponsors, and that'll probably partly make the job viable in the long term as well too. So it's a very exciting role. It's a brand new role, as I said. And if the pilot goes well, look out for the rest of the state, because Country Victoria is really going to be looked after in the future.
Yeah, awesome, mate. So not the only good news you've had in this last week, mate. You got a new addition to the family. So congrats from all the staff at BV on that.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, Joey Tom was born Monday morning, and Kel and Joey are doing well, and Jesse is a smitten big brother. So it's three JTs in the family, which is a headache for all, and but no, very exciting times in my household.
Yeah, I'm surprised Josh Jr. never got a run, but hey ho. Into your Pennant, into Murray Valley, what's happening up there? I know you personally will be looking to bounce back from a couple of tough years. I said I wouldn't remind him of the fact that he's lost. Was it 2 grand finals in a row on extra ends, or was it
Yes, pretty much
So-
spot on, Jimmy. You've been up here for 2 years now, going into my 3rd season as coach of Murray Downs, and we've lost 2 grand finals. The first one in 1 extra end, and the second one in 3 extra ends. But to the credit of Swan Hill, who have played in both those grand finals, they've really played well in those grand finals. And look, they're going to be one of the teams to beat. They may have lost a couple players this year. They've lost a couple back to Sunbury, a couple back to a couple of different areas, but they're still strong enough and good enough, and they're going to figure in the finals in weekend Pennant. Racecourse, another side that's gained a player in 𝗵𝗨𝗥 from 𝗁𝗏 District, and they will probably figure roundabouts. And I'd like to think, even though we've lost a couple of players, we're still going to be roundabouts, So competition starting up this Saturday, which is fantastic. Midweek starts next week. 𝗫𝗫𝗄𝗏, the defending champions there, and 𝗫𝗫𝗄𝗏 probably got 2 of the better female bowlers in this area, in 𝘁𝗵𝗵𝗀 and Judy Wilson. So they're going to be the team to beat, I reckon, in midweek Pennant, with Racecourse and Murray Downs probably chomping at the bit to knock them off there. So we're looking good in that space. And I think everybody, everybody across the state is really looking forward to playing Pennant again, Jimmy.
Agreed. I think everyone's keen. I know there's a number of regions and playing areas, especially up your way and further down in the 𝗁𝗏, that are kicking off this weekend. So we wish everyone well who's kicking off their first game of Pennant. I know you've all been practicing hard. You got your gear ready to go. Come Saturday morning, you'll head into the greens and getting ready for a big performance. So it's just good to see. It's finally some sense of normality.
Probably one last little shout out, Sunbury, which is part of the Murray-Mallee region. They didn't play any Pennant at all last year. COVID impacted them, and it's a bit hard along the border there with some of the rules they had to work around and all the rest of it. But it's great to see them back, both weekend and midweek, starting in the next couple of weeks. And 𝗫𝗫𝗄𝗏 will probably have had the longest title reign of defending premiers, because they're now going into their 2nd year without playing a game of being the defending premiers and weekend Pennant. So good luck to all the sides up in Sunbury this year as well.
I think you're right. A lot of the clubs across the Vic New South Wales border have got extra headaches to what we have all across the rest of the state. They've not only got to worry about what the Vic restrictions are, and there's also the New South Wales ones, and we all know that they're slightly different to one another. So hats off to them clubs that have done it tough. It's hard to straddle the two, and I know yourself, you've looked after the Murray Valley Pennant competition, and just getting them up and running is an amazing feat in itself.
Yeah, probably a month ago, we weren't sure when we were going to start. We had obviously this weekend as a forecasted date, but the rules change ad hoc between both states. Luckily, New South Wales probably come to the table a bit quicker, which was good. And soon as our Victorian roadmap come to fruition, that allowed us to move with haste, I guess, and to get the competition off the ground, and we're hanging out for bowls after this weekend. State events will start the following weekend, and over 60 events, so that we. And something we're going to try out this way for the first time is have all our region finals for the 4 playing areas when they all come together in one long weekend in March. We bit of a festival of bowls, a bit like our state champions week. We're going to do it our region finals all in the one weekend, we're just really looking forward to playing bowls again up in the Murray-Mallee.
Amazing, good to hear, mate. Well, that'll wrap up the second segment of the show. Join us next to speak with Lloyd Yacarino from Club Sunbury.
Welcome back. We are joined by Lloyd Yacarino, bowls coordinator at Club Sunbury. Lloyd, how you going, mate?
Well, thanks, Jimmy. Well, thanks for having me on.
Oh, anytime. How's things at Club Sunbury? I know you guys have recently opened. How's the club looking? How are the members going? Are they back on the greens? What's sort of going on your way?
Yeah, well, we opened up yesterday the indoor green for the first time in what seems like forever. We've been bowling for a few more weeks beforehand on the outdoor greens, and we're just happy to be open, really. I think everyone in Melbourne's under the same boat, but we've done a few renovations to our bistro and other parts of the club, so it's a bit of a fresh look, and the excitement's there, and we're ready for a big summer.
Yeah, awesome. So we've got Lloyd on from Club Sunbury as we sort of use this segment to rotate week on week, Josh. We're going to do a couple of Club of the Weeks to start with. Club Sunbury are a partner of ours. They're a partner for the junior program that we run at Bowlswick. Do you guys want to talk to that a bit more?
Yeah, so I obviously have a lot to do with Lloyd. You know, Club Sunbury come on early this year as our state junior side sponsor. Lloyd, we appreciate all your support as a club and as an individual in your role at Club Sunbury. Tell us a little bit about the involvement with the juniors from your side of the things.
Yeah, look, it's been a really rewarding experience so far, and we've only just skimmed the surface. I think, Josh, it's fair to say with what we can do. You know, Bowls Victoria have made it so easy, and Josh is, as you know, Jimmy, is so easy to work with that it's all just been really effortless in the work we've done with juniors. And we certainly have a major focus within our community, which is growing to bring the sport of bowls to the front of young people within our community. And, you know, we love the initiatives and the new ideas that Bowls Victoria and Bowls Australia come up with that engages a younger generation of bowlers. And we're really, really excited to be part of anything that embraces that youth and embraces, I guess, the new age of bowls and the direction that it probably needs to go in. And, you know, we've had a couple of events already that Bowls Victoria have put on that, you know, Matt Flapper is the head coach, obviously very closely aligned with our BPL side and UBC sides. He's been impressive with the way that he communicates with the younger bowlers and the way that bowls is going in Victoria, I think is super exciting. And we couldn't be prouder. And I know our general manager, Andrew Breeden-Walton, as well, is super thrilled and excited to have this partnership really in relationship with Bowls Victoria. And I think, you know, it'll be one that's successful in the years to come.
You've touched on, obviously, some of the things we've done already. We had a talent search day. We invited kids along the state to come along and, you know, trial themselves in front of the state coach and some of the selectors. You know, we're going to forward host, you guys are going to host the Doug Kneebone event going forward. And obviously any interstate series as part of that partnership you guys are going to host. So we as an organisation are looking forward to that partnership with you guys in terms of bringing those events. But I also like to speak about the entry-level stuff that you guys are doing with the juniors. You know, you've already had a stint of doing Roll-Up, which is Bowls Victoria's junior-level participation program. You're going to get involved with Junior League and also at another level of Junior League, potentially being one of our hosts as well too, you know. So give us a little bit of a spiel about the entry-level junior stuff you're doing as well too, Lloyd.
Yeah, look, we were thrilled to be part of Roll Up when it first started last year, and you know, we found it really, really beneficial for our, I guess, community, because we did get a number of bowlers coming into the club and experiencing bowls for the first time. You know, we had really good support and resources from Bowls Vic, and we were able to run a season for about 6 weeks, which saw about 17 people on average each week coming, having a bowl and enjoying their time. And you know, we were thrilled to kind of see that. I think someone's coming in the background, but anyways, yeah, we were thrilled to kind of be part of the Roll-Up program, and you know, it was a major success. It was a fast-paced version of bowls. You know, it related well to the younger bowlers in our community and younger people coming off the streets in for a roll into our dome. And you know, from furthering on from that, we had a few schools championships as well, which was a really, really major event. You know, with secondary and primary school happening and the finals happening, and then you know, finally, as you said, Josh, with moving forward to Junior League and you know, the Saturday morning programs happening as well. You know, we're really keen to get our teeth into that and keep progressing our grassroots level into that elite pathway of Melbourne Extreme.
And touching on that pathway, I was going to throw it over to Jimmy now, but obviously the great connection is that our state under-18 coach is Matty Flapper, you know, and now he's one of your, you know, Club Sunbury Extreme players, you know. Jimmy, it's obviously very exciting to have Club Sunbury on board from a BPL level.
Of course, I think with Carla as well, who's an ambassador at Club Sunbury, and Ali Forsyth, someone who's been around the BPL for a long time with the Blackjacks when they were a franchise. I think you guys are lined up to have a pretty good crack at it first up. Lloyd, you're looking forward to seeing that when it eventually kicks off in, is it May the first event?
So February, I think in 𝗪𝗪𝗧 will be the first one, which, you know, it seems like forever ago when we first signed up to be part of BPL, and then events just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. But it looks like February will go ahead. So we're thrilled about that. And, you know, having 𝘁𝗵𝗀𝗄 OAM as well joining up as coach, you know, you couldn't ask for 4 bigger names in the sport of bowls than the ones that we've brought together for the event. And, you know, Carla keeps reminding me that she's still the most credentialed out of the 4, and I'll hold her to that. But no, look, we've got really good people. We've got exceptional bowlers. You know, we're there to win it, and you know, we're really keen to be ambassadors for all of Victoria. You know, we're Melbourne Extreme. You know, we believe we've got an all Victorian lineup, or players all based from Victoria, and you know, we want to make sure that Victoria in the bowls and the BPL world is right at the top. And I think we've put the team together, and we'll work hard as a group to make sure we see success in February, which is definitely happening. I don't care what anyone says from political wise. We're getting there in February to 𝗪𝗓𝗡, and we're playing.
And what's the first ethos? Beat the pulse and go from there, or are you just looking at beating everyone?
Oh, look, mate, I don't think there'll be anyone that's going to be even close to us. No, look, I think it's a really good competition. We know how tough it is to win, these types of events. And, we're keen to start up a few little rivalries as well with the Pulse. And, we respect the work that they've done. And they've been almost a leader and a trendsetter for us to follow their lead about how you make a successful club and how bowls can really grow and appeal to so many different generations. So we're out there to win and compete, and we won't be leaving any stone unturned, I don't think.
Lloyd, just before we close off on the segment, 𝗊𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀 is the coach, and I want to touch on very, very quickly. He's had some experience in coaching, and I've dealt with that directly. He was involved with the 𝗕𝗪𝗧𝗪 at the Commonwealth Games, but you're going to have to keep him on a leash, Lloyd. What do you got planned? Because he's gone from hiding in a uniform box at the Glasgow Games to wearing a tank top basically to the gold medal match that I played in. What do you got planned to try and rein Kelvin in?
Look, there's a few different ideas going around. I've put the warning out that if he doesn't perform well enough on day one, I'll be taking over as coach of the side. So he's on notice. But no, look, I think, what we're most excited about, Kelvin, all of our conversations with him have been they've just been really endearing. His personality is so infectious. He's a character of the game. And, we're just going to let him go, and we're going to follow him along the ride, because I think it'll be an entertaining one, whichever way it goes. So we're thrilled to have him on board.
I can't wait. I know Kevy Anderson from 𝗪𝗡𝗪, he owes me a few favours, so I've got a front seat in the 𝗪𝗡𝗪 box to watch that come BPL, so I'll be looking forward to that. Two things before we let you go, Lloyd. First one, we've just previewed all the Premier League sides for next season. Where are MCC going to finish? You've obviously made the move over there yourself.
I have. Look, yeah, it's a new field for MCC this year. A lot of strong talent coming in, and I'm confident they'll push for finals. I think realistically this year it's looking like one of the most competitive Premier Division seasons that have ever been played. And I think with the live streaming Bowls Victoria is doing as well, it's going to be a really different feel and a lot more pressure to perform. I'm hopeful that we'll take out the prize at the end of the season, but there's a lot of hard work to be done. And behind the scenes at MCC, they're working hard to make sure we're ready. So it's going to be a big year, and let's hope we can bring it home.
Awesome, mate. The second one's actually to Josh. The roll-up program, Josh. Where can people find more info on that, and how's that run at their clubs?
Yeah, look, so Roll Up is a Bowls Victoria junior participation program. You can get onto a Bowls Victoria website, and there is a dedicated page to our Roll Up program. There's a quite big, large button on that web page saying join up, whether as a participant or as a hub club. And basically, as soon as you do that, fill in the express of interest form. One of the participation coordinators at Bowls Vic will reach out to you and help you through getting that all set up.
Awesome. Lloyd, you've been a star. I've got no doubt we'll bring you on closer to BPL kicking off, whether it's just before, just after, to sort of get your review on the event. But we appreciate you jumping on and sparing us this time. So thanks so much, mate. Enjoy.
Absolute pleasure, Josh and Jimmy. All the best, and have a good season of bowls, eh?
Thanks, Lloyd.
Mate. Take care.
Cheers.
Josh, that was great to have Lloyd join us. I know Club Sunbury are doing some amazing things at the moment. I know he's got his hands full trying to get the joint opened and the bowlers back on the green. There's a big dump of rain there yesterday, so I know the outdoor greens are closed. So we do appreciate your time, Lloyd, and wish you the best for the season. So this is going to bring to the end to the first show, Josh. We've covered some good ground. What's been your highlight?
Oh, obviously, getting a chance to preview the Premier Division, speaking to Lloyd, obviously, I got a chance to speak about my home area and what I'm doing with my new role in the Pennant up this way. So it's been a great first show. I'm only looking forward to what we can do as a show going forward. So, no, it's been brilliant, Jimmy.
Yeah, so next week we will take a close which will be between Altona and MCC. We'll break it down with some analysis on that, with a quick preview to some other stories that are happening across Metro Pennant, across the other divisions as well. We'll be joined by Big Kevy Anderson from 𝗁𝗪𝗡𝗨𝗥 𝗪𝗢𝗡. We'll preview the Bendigo. We'll review round one of the Bendigo 𝘊𝗵𝗄𝗡 Goldfields Pennant, and also talk about the changes that have happened up there for this season. And we'll finish up with 𝗁𝗪𝗡𝗨𝗥 𝗪𝗡𝗡 as our club of the week, and we'll go more in depth on the things that 𝗁𝗪𝗡𝗡 Bowls Club are doing to increase participation amongst our great sport up on the river.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media channels across Facebook and Instagram. This show will be broadcast on our Facebook page every week, every Friday. We're looking around about the 12 p.m. time slot. We'll also be hosting it on our website for those of you that don't do the Facebook. We'll also have a video out pretty soon, which we'll post across the website and Facebook on how to cast or how to get the stream games up on your club TV. So you can get a few mates around on a Saturday or Friday afternoon and watch the stream game. So, Josh, been a great show. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to next week, mate.
Yeah, no, Jimmy, it's been awesome. Great first show, mate. And let's look forward to a great big season of bowls in Victoria.
Awesome. See you soon.